5 signs they're a trans chaser. And I'm going to tell y'all right now that this is going to be a multi-part series because chasers gon' chase. Now, once upon a time, I would have told you that a trans chaser is someone who fetishizes trans people, is on a DL, and will never be seen with you in public, but these chasers, they've gotten more sophisticated. Sign number 1, smooth talkers. They will butter you up.
Is your muffin buttered?
They will make you feel like the bee's knees. I'm a millennial, can you tell? They will make you feel like the hottest thing since sliced bread. They'll talk to you in extremes like you're the hottest girl to ever roam this planet. Even if it's 4 in the morning and you've sweat off all your makeup. Oh, you're the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Number 2, obsession. It's not just adoration. It's that feral look in their eyes, like they're looking at a fresh piece of meat. Like they just caught a rare Pokemon. They might even straight up tell you about how excited or aroused they are sitting across from you at the table, thinking about what's going on downstairs. And at that point, it's not even about you. It's about your very existence. It's about what you stand for. And at that point,
You in danger, girl.
sign number 3, they pursue you aggressively until they get what they want. Double text, triple text, hey, hi, sup, you up, WYD, what you doing, what you wearing. They might try and take you on a date because they think that's what it'll take. They might try and move up your date to a casual hang at their place. For these people, persistence is key, and they must have some form of success rate because otherwise, why would they do it? Sign number 4, they only express interest in you after they clock you. Now I'm a trans girl who does okay for herself. And once upon a time, before I got my name and gender changed, I was at a gay club. The bouncer paid me no mind until he saw my government name, Billy Bob Joe. He changed his tune so quick, did a full 180, pulled my friend aside, asked about my tea. Straight men who work at queer nightlife, whole different topic for another day. Sign number 5, they prey on your insecurities because you've already supplied them the blueprint. Now let's say you have deep-seated abandonment issues and you truly believe that everyone leaves, that everyone here is for a good time, not a long time, that people are hit it and quit it types, and these hoes ain't loyal. No person is going to openly admit to you, like, yeah, you just perfectly described me. Yes, I am such a player. No, they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear in order to get what they want. Oh no. I would never do that. I'm different. I truly believe that love is real and I just hate the player types. No. And bonus sign number 6, if their screen name has TG, TS, or lover spelled LUVR, run.
So I'm just curious for you, how has it been like as a transgender woman dating?
It sucks. When I meet guys in person, a lot of the time men think that they can handle it until they can't. A lot of men are like, oh, like I can deal with this and it's fine when you're just going to like the movies or like when you're going to dinners and things are like dimly lit or like there's a bunch of people in the space. But like when I would ask to meet your friends or like, go to this party and I was like, oh, can I come with? And then it's like, oh, that's when the realization kicks in that you're with a trans woman. And so I just have to be a lot more selective about the amount of time that I spend with people and then also be really intentional about where I am and being really honest with myself and the people about that.
It is something that you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
Transgender people are not obligated to tell someone that they are trans the first time they meet them. Do you tell your entire history, like genetic history, familial history, the first time you go on a date with someone? No! And if you do, then you might as well give them your online banking password.
Okay, so dating as a trans woman has always been like a little complicated for me. I always make sure to let people know, like, before we go on a date that, like, yes, in fact, I am trans. And a lot of the time, a lot of people are, like, totally fine with it. Other times, people are, like, mad hateful, but this isn't about them. What drives me absolutely up a wall more than anything is these men that will say, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And then, like, a couple minutes later, just completely ghost you. Like, buddy, it's okay to have preferences. Like, 100% okay to have preferences. But It's not okay to lie about those preferences to make yourself feel better, because that just hurts us both in the end. And it's not even like this is just like a one-off thing, like it's happened to me multiple occasions. And I'm just sick of it, you know? All right, rant is over. Thank y'all for listening to me complain. I love y'all. I will see you next talk. Mwah.
Dating while trans is so weird because I have so many guys that we match, we talk, and as soon as they realize that I'm trans, like unmatch me. But it's crazy to me because like literally up until that point, like they were attracted to me, we were having good conversation. And mind you, I disclose on my profile that I'm trans, but men don't read. And so I always have to remind them. But it's just crazy because it's like, what? Like that rejection is weird because it's delayed. And so it's like, I've learned that it doesn't reflect on me, but it's always crazy because I'm like, I would much rather have them just like not even talk to me from the get if it's going to be a problem, as opposed to like try to talk to them, try to have some sort of conversation only for them to then realize and then reject me. Like, I'd rather the trash take itself out, you know?
Is not dating trans women transphobic? Yeah, it definitely can be. It depends on your reasoning, though. Like, I've heard someone say it was like really important to them to have biological children between them and their significant other. And it's like, who can really get mad at that? But when someone says they're just not attracted to trans women, I feel like they're not saying what they're actually trying to say, because I feel like that's impossible to be true. Because whether you want to admit it or not, there are trans women on this earth who are significantly more attractive than the vast majority of cis women. Like, whether you want to date them or not, whether you like them or not, it's just how it is. They're here on this earth amongst us, okay? Some of y'all be trying to play like Where's Waldo with it, but no one told you what Waldo looks like, so you just point around, pointing the finger at random cis women even. Like, y'all can't tell. That's what my point is. What I'm saying is nobody's transdar is accurate enough for you to prevent the situation where you find a trans woman attractive thinking that she was a cis woman. Now, granted, if you find out she's trans and you don't want to deal with her, in theory, that's okay, but what's your reasoning? If you're like, ooh, gross, you're a man, oh, that's obviously transphobic and obviously very offensive. However, if you're like, yo, you know, the downstairs equipment, I'm not comfortable with that in the bedroom. You know what I mean? So I must yield. Like, I feel like that's very respectful and not transphobic. And those the two good examples I gave you were things you could say to somebody whether they're trans or not. Like, there could be a cis woman who comes to you who happens to be infertile. You're like, ah, man, I want to have biological kids. You know, that's why it's not transphobic. Or A, I'm not trying to mess with what's in your pants. You can say that to anybody. But if your reasoning for not wanting to date a trans person is simply because they are trans, that is by definition transphobia. The problem here is putting these kinds of people under the same umbrella. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, you know, I don't typically date this kind of person, but for you to say, oh, like, I refuse to date any of this kind of person ever, obviously that's going to sound problematic whether you mean it like that or not. And I feel like you all know that. That's why with the whole bi thing, like, there's literally no reasoning that they have for not wanting to date bi men as opposed to straight men outside of the man being bi. So clearly there's some sort of aversion to bi men. I don't know why people can't put two and two together. Someone was in the comments like, oh, like, I don't want to date an addict, so does that mean I have a problem with addicts? Like, yes, like clearly you see something in addicts that you don't like. Someone else was like, oh, if I don't want to move into a rat infested house, does that mean I have a problem with rats? Yes. And what's crazy is they're all clutching onto this, oh, you know, it's just a preferences, blah, blah, blah. They're clutching onto that. But wait until you see a man say that he doesn't date dark-skinned women. What are they going to say? Is that a preference? Because I've never seen that narrative spread when someone says that. And the crazy thing about this whole debacle is nobody's begging anybody to date anybody. People are just saying people are homophobic. Like, it's like the comprehension skills of like half of this app are so low. Nobody is campaigning for you to date anybody, okay? Bi people do not care about whether or not you date them. Trans people do not care about whether or not you date them. They have more pressing matters to worry about, like being unalived, assaulted, and harassed at alarming rates. But of course, if you get on the internet and say something homophobic, biphobic, or transphobic, people are going to call you out. Like, what are you confused about? Like,
my first trans, I say, real relationship.
So if you tell other guys that you're dating a trans woman, like how do they react?
When guys kind of like, you know, say, hey, dude, hey, you, him, her, or like, you know, instead of her, I kind of like, I jump on the gun. I'm like, dude, you know, like, have some respect. You don't see, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a dude, it's a chick, bro. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you
exactly.
Should, like, you know, realize, you know, you see that how the dress, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just, like, you know, like, you put them down because you know exactly who they're trying to be, and then you just, like, shine them off, like, you know what I mean? That's right. There's an ass kick to me. My mom told me, like, you know, just, you know, to this day, like, you know, just love who you know what I mean, who you know is gonna, you know, be there to the day, you know, to the end, you know what I mean? And I know for a fact she's gonna be there with me to the end.
Do you ever date a transgender woman?
I'm just not into it.
Because?
And I don't find men attractive. That's
I
it.
remember thinking, I'm about to beat this bitch up.
Welcome to the very first episode of Transeria. This is Jamie, your transpiration, and today we will be interviewing strangers kung willing ba sila makipag-date sa mga trans woman. Tara! Hey, what's your name?
Cody. Queens. Daniel.
Miguel. Cedric. Emilio. Theo. Miko. Max. Sachi.
Kevin. Matthias.
Would you ever date a transgender woman?
No. Oh, sure. Yes.
No. For sure.
No. I wouldn't.
No.
Just not into it.
Yeah. As of now, I don't know.
Why?
My girlfriend is trans.
Oh my god, I'm so happy to hear that. So can you share just one happy thought about being in a relationship with a trans woman?
You have to express yourself, how you feel. Very empowering.
Because I have a girlfriend. Well, as a pansexual, ayun nga, I consider, trans women are women. So, yes.
Why not? Life is short.
It's not my type.
I totally agree with Tim. It's not my type. Me also. But I respect whoever would, and I respect them. So I support it. If somebody like it, why not? I don't know. So I don't really care that much.
Di naman issue yung gender.
So, hindi ka nagbe-base sa physical appearance, like pure character, why?
More on attitude.
I just like women. Women look good and I find them attractive. That's about it. And I don't find men attractive. That's it.
Bombastic side.
I don't know. I just wouldn't.
I really think I have to reassess my life and my life plan, my whole life plan. I gotta rethink it because society sucks. All these men, not all men, but there's a lot of them. It's very, very easy for me to get dates. I go on dates all the time. I'm like a serial dater. It's like a hobby for me. Men are attracted to trans women. The problem is society doesn't allow for them to admit that. So, by extension, them committing to somebody like me is next to impossible. I dated a man for like a year. He never once introduced me to his family. We never once did an overnight. Plenty of late night trysts though. And people say, oh, there's solutions. Just date another tranny. It's like, well, that seems really lame. Like what? And then we all moved to the island of misfit toys. Society really bites.
Dating as a trans woman kinda sucks. First off, it's dangerous. If you want to go for men, a lot of them want to be down low, and if any of their family or friends finds out, then it's your problem now. Cis lesbians, they're a lot nicer, but as with the rest of the population, a lot of them prefer not to date trans women. Dating other trans people is usually our best option, but you gotta remember we're only like 1% of the population, so usually our only option is online long distance, and that kinda sucks.
I'll let you on, like, a little secret. I still face obstacles while still being passing as a trans girl. Like, even though I'm quote unquote pretty, not everyone might want to admit it, and everyone might want to come to terms with the fact that I am a woman and I look like a woman and just am a woman. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that I still face crap because I'm trans. It doesn't define me, but it's still like a part of me, and I just have to like live with that, I guess. But it's not a burdenous task. I just get on with it. But I have a short like story time. So I was basically like speaking to a guy, and I'm like found him like through TikTok. Lord knows if he's gonna see this, but yeah, like I was speaking to him, everything seemed to go fine. We followed each other like on Instagram and everything. So we followed each other on Instagram and everything, and then we just like I never even speak about the fact that I'm transgender. It's just like out there for like you to see. And then so presumably like he already knew because like all my content is like basically trans. And yeah, so we FaceTime, we plan to meet each other and like plan to get jiggy with it. But when I go on holiday, he unfollows me. Granted, I didn't respond to his text wishing me well on holiday, but still, like, he unfollows me and just unfollows me on TikTok now. So he just cut me off. Maybe it's because I'm trans. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I'm a fucking horny bitch.
So I'm just curious for you, how has it been, like, as a transgender woman dating?
It sucks. When I meet guys in person, a lot of the time men think that they can handle it until they can't. A lot of men are like, oh, you know, like I can deal with this and it's fine when you're just going to like the movies or like when you're going to dinners and things are like dimly lit or like there's a bunch of people in the space. But like when I would ask to meet your friends or like, you know, go to this party and I was like, oh, can I come with? And then it's like, oh, that's when the realization kicks in that you're with a trans woman. And so I just have to be a lot more selective about the amount of time that I spend with people and then also be really intentional about where I am and being really honest with myself and the people about that.
As we all know, I am conducting a trans dating experiment, and it is now officially over. I deleted all my profiles and all my apps last night. I'm not freaking doing it because one thing about it, and two things for sure, one thing I'm not about to do is keep digging through the goddamn trash, hoping that there's a diamond at the damn bottom. And who knows if that diamond is even going to be a real diamond or cubic zirconium or a freaking rhinestone. This is the thing. What y'all don't understand about trans dating, it doesn't matter whether you have an optimistic, open-minded mindset. The minute men see that you're trans, the minute men know that you're trans, they take that as an open invitation for a sexual conversation. The only thing this experiment and experience was showing me was the reason why I have not talked to a man in 3 years. Yes, it's been 3 whole years and it's about to be 13 whole years. I'm not doing this bull crap. I'm not going to spend weeks on end. Well, add this to your bio and do this and do that. I'm not putting that much effort into finding a man that's going to piss me off anyways. Kiss my goddamn ass. I'm not doing this crap no more. I'm not doing it no more. One thing about me, I have a very limited capacity on my perseverance. I persevere on things that are actually worth it. And I don't deal with unnecessary stress. Get the hell out of my goddamn face. So if you are a trans woman in a small town and you're trying to figure out whether it's worth it to date, it's not. I don't give a damn. Don't listen to anybody. Don't allow anybody to convince you. It's not. Don't waste your goddamn time. And I don't want to hear anything from anybody. I'm not doing anything else.
From growing up to now, what is dating like for you?
I never really dated. That wasn't like a thing for me, I guess. But I'll never forget, I told my mom I had work. And so I like left to go to work, went to this guy's house, drove my mom's car because I didn't have a car yet. And we like just like hooked up. Dating when I moved to LA and I was like just like a trans girl in a wig was weird because it's like, do I get on Tinder? Do I get on like literal Grindr? And then you find the people who like fetish trans girls and like that type of thing. So I kind of got like lost in that. And then I was like, wait, that's like not how I feel. Like I don't want to even have that app like as an option, as a fetish, as anything. And then as I started like presenting and looking more and more and more feminine, I was like, ew, it's so annoying because it's like I like literally would talk to somebody for a week and they just wouldn't know. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, like I have a third leg.
It's really hard dating as a trans woman, and I just deleted Bumble because every single match unmatched me. And I don't think they read my bio, and as soon as they saw a trans woman, they unmatched. I honestly don't know if I'm gonna find anyone, especially here in Japan, where the LGBTQ community is so small. I might just have to go overseas.
Dating apps. Do you put in your bio that you're trans or not?
Hey baby, before I get into it, I just say you are so beautiful. But yeah, let's get into it. I say this not only to you, but other girls who are trans. Like, if you decide to use dating apps, I do highly recommend just letting them know or just putting it in your bio. So, because it just kind of skips that awkward conversation of like, oh, does he aware? Does he know what's going on? And it gives you time to just get to know that person without having to have that conversation, because sometimes it just makes it awkward. But even though I put it in my bio, I'll give a guy my number. As I get to know him a little bit more, I'll ask like, hey, just want to make sure you're aware that you read my bio. Once they say yes, it's all water on the bridge, smooth sailing, and it just turns into a very normal date. So I definitely highly recommend it, and it's good for your safety.
This is what dating is like as a trans person. In all honesty, I'm just gonna say I haven't had the best luck with like finding anybody, but I'm also not putting myself out there looking for a certain somebody. So I'm kind of like the person where I just want it to happen naturally, and I don't want to have anything, I don't know, like social media, like be the reason I meet somebody. Like that is not where I want to meet like my future husband. And yes, I get so many comments and DMs from a lot of, I will just say like older men saying they want to date me, and it is uncomfortable, but I also can't really complain because it comes with the platform that I have. But I want to say that I always tell the person before it gets very serious. So like I either tell them before the first date or like after the first time I hang out with them, just so they can get to know me for me without having like that label splattered on my forehead. I also have met people that are perfectly fine with it, but you know, I can't just be like, oh, well, they're fine with me being trans, then I should ignore all of the red flags. And you know, there have been relationships where they didn't care, but they literally were the worst type of guy, and I didn't want that. You know, I had to break it off. And I'm like not desperate for anybody. Like I love being single and I love having time for myself, my friends, my family, and you can also still do that while being in a relationship. But I like the idea of kind of not having anybody, and I think that's perfectly fine because the right person is going to come at the right time. There are actually guys that I went to high school with who are now in my DM saying like, I thought you were hot during high school, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want anybody to know. And I am not going to be with the type of person like that, because if you care so much about what other people think about you and your decisions, your actions, then you need to work on yourself. I don't want to be with somebody who might be embarrassed to be with me, but they still like the idea of being with me. And while I do appreciate all of the nice comments I get and compliments, whatever, in my comments and DMs, I am not interested in anybody. You know, I'm like I said, I don't want to meet anybody off social media. I don't want to date someone that's 5 times my age either. I also want to say that I've had so many encounterments where guys are like, oh, I'm not interested, you know, that's not the type of girl I want to date, or they just straight up block me and don't say anything. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm not going to hunt down the guy and be like, why did you do this? Why aren't you interested? I get that they have a preference and I respect that, you know, and I also have a preference, and that's perfectly fine. You know, there shouldn't be a big issue with people having preferences on who they want to date. So that's kind of all I'm going to talk about in this video, but if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, you can let me know in the comments and I will try my best to do it.
Do you disclose that you're trans?
I just have been reviewing actually the video that I made where it's like, I'm not telling straight guys that I'm trans. The amount of comments I get around, well, if you don't tell him, then you're going to get what's coming for you, or like you're lying to him, or that's not the right way to start a relationship. It's like, hey, start the conversation with all of the baggage that you have in life. If we're going to go off of that rule of I should disclose that I'm trans on a first date, then you should tell me how much money you make, how big your dick is, and like what trauma you have with your parents.
So it's not something that you're completely hiding. It's something that you are going to disclose.
Yeah.
But it's just not a first date conversation.
It's not, because it's like, do you want to anchor your whole relationship off of identity compatibility?
Right.
That seems very superficial.
Yeah.
What are your values? What do you care about? What's the energy between us?
Hey, it's finally great to meet you. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting you to look so damn beautiful. Oh, thank you. So, you're trans, right? Yeah, no, I'm trans. Hey, that's chill. That's chill. I do have to ask though, excuse me. Do you still have it? Like, do you still have it?
I mean, I haven't had any surgeries or anything, if that's what you're asking.
Hey, that's chill. I get it. No problem. I've always low-key, not that I would, you know, tell anyone this, but like low-key, I mean, I've always wanted to be with a trans girl, before, but it's like, I'm not like gay or anything, like I'm not gay, you know, I've just always been kind of interesting, and like, I've been always kind of curious, you know, but like not in a gay way.
Oh, I mean, I don't think it makes you gay or anything, but...
Okay, chill. Yeah, I mean, I do have to let you know, like, no one can really know about this or anything, like, none of the brothers in the frock could know, like, my family for real can't know, like, none of my friends could know that I'm here with you tonight, so, like, if you kind of can just keep this to yourself, and, like...
Oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and... I'm gonna go.
Shawty, don't leave, Shawty, you're so fine, though, like, okay, maybe I can tell my mom.
Y'all, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I don't know what else I can do in terms of dating. Like, on every app that I'm on, I'm really only on Hinge, but, like, I say it in my bio. I say that I'm trans. Twice. And one of them is a video where I'm literally speaking and saying, oh, hey, I'm trans, by the way. Like, I don't know what else I can do. I don't know. And when I meet people in person, I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm trans. And then they just act like they didn't hear me. Like, what? And then you want to get mad at me? Like, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Like, bro, you want this to be a secret so bad. You want it to be a secret so bad. Bitch, I'm over it. I'm over it. I gave up on love.
This is what dating is like as a trans person. In all honesty, I'm just gonna say I haven't had the best luck with like finding anybody, but I'm also not putting myself out there looking for a certain somebody. So I'm kind of like the person where I just want it to happen naturally and I don't want to have anything, I don't know, like social media, like be the reason I meet somebody. Like that is not where I want to meet like my future husband. And yes, I get so many comments and DMs from a lot of, I will just say, like older men saying they want to date me, and it is uncomfortable, but I also can't really complain because it comes with the platform that I have. But I want to say that I always tell the person before it gets very serious. So like I either tell them before the first date or like after the first time I hang out with them, just so they can get to know me for me without having like that label splattered on my forehead. I also have met people that are perfectly fine with it, but you know, I can't just be like, oh, well, they're fine with me being trans, then I should ignore all of the red flags. And you know, there have been relationships where they didn't care, but they literally were the worst type of guy, and I didn't want that. You know, I had to break it off. And I'm like not desperate for anybody. Like I love being single and I love having time for myself, my friends, my family, and you can also still do that while being in a relationship. But I like the idea of kind of not having anybody, and I think that's perfectly fine because the right person is going to come at the right time. There are actually guys that I went to high school with who are now in my DM saying like, I thought you were hot during high school, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want anybody to know. And I am not going to be with the type of person like that, because if you care so much about what other people think about you and your decisions, your actions, then you need to work on yourself. I don't want to be with somebody who might be embarrassed to be with me, but they still like the idea of being with me. And while I do appreciate all of the nice comments I get and compliments, whatever, in my comments and DMs, I am not interested in anybody. You know, I'm like I said, I don't want to meet anybody off social media. I don't want to date someone that's 5 times my age either. I also want to say that I've had so many encounterments where guys are like, oh, I'm not interested, you know, that's not the type of girl I want to date, or they just straight up block me and don't say anything. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm not going to hunt down the guy and be like, why did you do this? Why aren't you interested? I get that they have a preference and I respect that, you know, and I also have a preference, and that's perfectly fine. You know, there shouldn't be a big issue with people having preferences on who they want to date. So that's kind of all I'm going to talk about in this video, but if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, you can let me know in the comments and I will try my best to do it.
Hey y'all, so I wanted to jump on here and talk about the different type of guys that I ran into on Tinder while dating as a trans woman, because girl, there are so many different archetypes of these guys that are local and that are chasers. And some of them aren't even aware that they're chasers. It's like, get into it, bro. Get into that motherfucking brain of yours, because whatever you're thinking, it is not it. But anyway, so the first guy that you'll probably run into Tinder if you're a trans girl and you're looking to date is going to be the guy that's gonna not gonna know that you're trans, and then once you tell him, he's gonna be like, oh, I can't date a trans girl, block you, and then come back a week or a month later trying to hook up. And then it's the other guys that you tell them that you're trans, and they're like, oh, I don't care, because they just want to put their thing inside of anything
Y'all, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I don't know what else I can do in terms of dating. Like, on every app that I'm on, I'm really only on Hinge, but, like, I say it in my bio. I say that I'm trans twice. And one of them is a video where I'm literally speaking and saying, oh, hey, I'm trans, by the way. Like, I don't know what else I can do. I don't know. And when I meet people in person, I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm trans. And then they just act like they didn't hear me. Like, what? And then you want to get mad at me? Like, are you dumb? Are you dumb? Like, bro, you want this to be a secret so bad. You want it to be a secret so bad. Bitch, I'm over it. I'm over it. I gave up on love.
I lived with my boyfriend and his parents for 3 months, and none of them knew that I was transgender. I'm going to tell you how she found out. So basically, here's a little background on me. I started transitioning when I was a teenager, and, you know, I went through the whole glitz and glam. I met my boyfriend here in New York, and, you know, he was staying in Buffalo, but he relocated to New York, homeless. I met him outside. We eventually ended up getting together, and he told me that he was going to move back in with his parents, and he would love for me to come with. So I went, and I didn't tell him, yo, I'm trans. He introduced me to his mom. He introduced me to his dad. I met a few of his siblings. And, you know, I was even laying in the bed. There are times that I was showering and the mom would come in and and nobody had a clue. So one day I asked to use mom's phone, and my phone was not working, so I logged into my Instagram. I have 2 Instagram accounts. I have one for people that I know and another for people that I don't. So I ended up forgetting to log out. And his mom went to use her phone after me. And the next day, when I woke up, I just found her acting really funny. She was acting really strange. She loves me, or loved me, but then she started acting very standoffish, almost like, you betrayed me. Like, you could see the look in her eye. So, you know, I finally decide that I've had enough with the tension, and I want to ask her, what's really good? Like, what's happening? What's going on? What's beef? So she's like, you logged into my phone last night. Do you know what you left on there? I said, no, nothing. I should have logged out. And she said, I went to your page and I watched your videos. I said, what videos? She says, of your transition. You didn't tell us. So then she's like, you were around my kids. You were around my grandkids. You were around my nieces and nephews. Why didn't you tell me this? I said, ma'am, listen, you make it seem like I'm a threat to the public safety or something. I'm a regular girl, but I knew if I would have said something that I would be labeled otherwise and I would be dehumanized and treated funny. That's why I didn't say nothing. She said, well, you gotta get up and help clean up. You know what? If you're gonna be living here, you gotta help clean up. She started getting real you know, snappy. So I'm like, I'm just gonna pack my things and go because I know that's the next thing you're gonna say. She's like, yeah. Does my son know? I said, nah. She said, you know what? We're gonna keep it between us, but you gotta go. I said, okay. So what did I do? I packed myself and I left. I wasn't gonna play with her.